What's up, guys? Welcome back to another HERR Lounge podcast. I am back. Woo! Last week was really tough, guys. If you were wondering why you didn't hear a podcast, whether that be on the private or the regular feed, that was why. I was literally man down.
Don't go wooing either. You're like Ric Flair, and don't do that too soon.
I'm not going to do anything that requires for me to laugh really loud, which is kind of hard because that's how I laugh. But I'm so much better. I was so desperate for the last week. Like I did the onions under my feet. I don't
even know what that means, dude. You called me and told me. I mean, I felt so bad for Sol because, she just calls me and tells me like, hey, I don't feel the best. And you still wanted to power through like a trooper.
I know. I was like, we can just see how I do.
Meanwhile, she sounded like Tim Dillon when she called me on the phone. I'm like, what are we doing here? You sound like Tim Dillon mixed with Alex Jones.
He's like, yeah, I think you should try to. And then I said, you know what? I just got some medicine. Okay, so I even had to get prescription medicine because nothing over the counter was working.
Wait. You said you got some medicine. The day you took it, you're like, this pill ain't done shit for me. Yeah. You took it like 6 hours ago.
I said, it hasn't done anything yet for me. And I told him, I said, listen, if I'm going to let it kick in. And I was like, and then I will let you know if we can podcast tomorrow. He's like, yeah, I don't think that's how it works. And I was like, okay, well, I'll let you know Thursday then. And he's like, I just really think you need to take the entire week off. Like, stop. I was really trying, guys. I feel like very committed. Like, I feel like I have to do this. Not in a bad way, but it's like,
you don't want to let
people
them
look
down.
Forward to it. Yeah, I don't want, or at least that's what everybody says, right? They could just be saying that for my ego. But everybody's like, I look forward to the podcast. But so I am back. I'm a little bit better. I would have been coughing the entire time if I would have been here. And listen, if you're listening from California, I love y'all to pieces.
Don't lie.
Y'all support 100% in every aspect. But the day it never fails, I go to Sacramento, I come back, I thought I had COVID. And I was like, okay, I feel like how I had COVID. That's what it must be. Mm-hmm. So I take a test. I think Don texted me to see if we can chat or something. I said, bro, I don't think this is going to happen. I was like, something's up. I said, I felt like this the last time I went to California and it ended up being COVID. I thought it was allergies. I really thought it was COVID. I took 3 tests in one day because I just thought maybe I was doing it wrong. Like, I've got to do this again. And they all kept coming back negative. Went to the doctor. Negative again because, they got to make sure you don't have COVID. Mm-hmm. So that was negative. And I said, this is really weird. This is exactly how I felt. But anyhow, I haven't been like that in about 9 years. The funny thing is when I first met my husband, I had such a bad sinus infection and my cough was so bad. And he's like, do you need to go to the doctor? I'm like, nope. I'm on at that time I had actually prescription allergy medicine. And so I said, nope, this prescription allergy medicine is supposed to work at some point. I don't know when, but it's supposed to work. And I was like, so I couldn't get rid of the cough. I mean, it was bad. He was like, but that one had a little bit more mucus. This one was a dry cough. And those are the worst because they burn.
How often do you get like that?
It's been 9 years.
Damn, really?
It had been 9 years since the last time I got that bad.
Okay,
I get allergy issues.
But like sinus infections.
It'd been 9 years.
Really?
And it happens before that. That's how I found out I had allergies. I was at work. I didn't know why my eyes just kept burning and like they were watering. And I was like, man, this is really awful. Well, I don't know what I turned around to ask like my manager, because you work in cubicles. Mm-hmm. And I turned around and goes, and I said, what's up? And he's like, I'm not sure. He's like, please don't. He was like being cautious because, we're at the workplace, any HR situation.
No
I guess
harassment.
Yes, exactly.
No
he's like, you might want to go look at your eyes in the mirror. And I was like, what's wrong with them? He's like, go look. And bro, the top part of my eye was so swollen. And that's why my eyes kept watering. But, you're at a call center. That's what I did. So I answered calls and I just kept like blinking and, I kept rubbing my eyes. Didn't really I was stuffy, but I just had never had allergies. That's when I found out I had allergy issues.
Now rewind it if it was like 20 years before that, and he just like flat out being like, somebody fart on your pillow. It's like be funny in the workplace when that was still a thing.
And it wasn't that long ago, and that's.
But even then, yeah. Well, that's good because.
But I'm good now.
Yeah, good. Every 2 years, dude, I get a sinus infection.
Every 2 years?
2 years in the spring. So we're in the clear, right? I think we're in the clear now because it's almost summer. But like 2020, it's literally every 2 years for as long as I can remember.
Wow.
So come 2024 spring, I'll probably be down for about a month.
Wow. So I'll get like that, but it'll just be like a few days and then I'm out of it. But like this bad to where like.
Yeah, because I've known you for like 5 or 6 years now. You've never been
no,
like.
I've had allergy issues where I've told you like, I sound weird just because, or I'll sound like a man because of allergy. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so then
you just plow through typically.
Usually this time around, and I was really trying to because I think being sick is a mental thing. That's what I always tell myself.
I do think it's a part of that for sure.
And so I'm like, I'm good. I keep telling myself I'm good. I need to go to the gym. I tried going to the gym.
You're good until you're just on your ass.
And then I just go to the gym and I'm like looking at everybody and I'm like, why am I even here, bro? Like I need to leave. I'm coughing while I'm here. People. And that's the other thing.
You're that person.
I didn't like feel anything else. Does that make sense? My eyes would go in and out of feeling hot. Like this whole area, like hot. And then I had these crazy headaches. And I was just like, okay, well, that day where I thought I was fine to go to the gym, it was just a cough. I think I was there for like 15 minutes. I don't even think it was that long. I said, okay, I'm leaving. And the guy in the front is like, you're leaving? I'm like, yeah, I got to go. And I was like, well, why were you trying to be here? I was just trying to fix the issue. And usually whenever I've had like a fever or anything like that, I'll go to the gym and sit in the sauna to like kind of sweat out or go walk to sweat out. But this was different. It was a cough. It wasn't like, it was a sinus infection. It was not the same thing, It's not like a cold or anything like that. Yeah, I was pretty shitty. Long story short, I had a lot of time to sit there and watch and look. And I just don't care for social media anymore. And I'm having a really hard time. I need to get back on it because it's the only way I can promote anything. But I've been benching a lot of podcasts on TV. Okay. So I'll do this. I have the Spotify app and I'll just watch them on there. If you're not a parent, then I still want you to listen to this episode because I feel that when you do become a parent, because you'll be a future parent, it'll be a lot different for you versus what we're going through right now as parents, right? I don't know about you, but I think I feel my parents did an amazing job, right? But I know where their mistakes were, right? And so I don't want to repeat those mistakes, right? So I assume you do the same with your kids, right?
Totally.
Okay. For me, it was kind of a dismissal type of thing. Like if I said, Mom, I would really like to do, let's just say, dance, right? I'm just going to give you that an example. Well, I don't have time to take you, right? Like you need to figure that out. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like no one can take you. We all have to work. There's bills to get paid, right? All that stuff was what was said. So I'm going to start off today's quote with this, okay? And then we'll go into it. And then I'll tell you really where all this is coming from.
Can't wait.
Kids are not responsible for caring for siblings, being emotional supports for parents, finding money to pay bills, creating rules, structure, and order because adults can't or won't, taking care of their parents emotionally, managing fights between parents, protecting themselves from adults, figuring things out on their own.
So did you just go down the list of all the things we had to do as kids and say that's what...
Well, I cared for my sibling, which is where I feel me never wanting to have children came from, because I just felt like it was such a responsibility and I could never do anything because I had to help my sister with homework before I could go play outside because my parents were at work. Does that make sense? Also, I grew up in a whole different era. So we were allowed to stay home at 2. Just kidding. You know what I mean? Like I was staying home by first grade. I was staying home alone. You know what I'm saying? My mom was at work. And wait a minute. No, my sister was in, I must have been in third. I'm lying because my sister was already in school and she was in kindergarten. So we're about 3 years apart or something like that, or pre-K. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just know that she was in school and I was in school, and I had to help her in order for me to be able to, okay, now it was like my chore. Okay, you're done. Now you can go. Again, I've got immigrant parents, so obviously language barrier, right? So I understood that. It was weird how I knew that as a child, though. I'm like, there's a language barrier because no one was able to help me with homework because there was a language barrier. So I knew that was the case for my sister. My parents, probably around 4th grade is when they pretty much mastered English. So I was good after 4th grade, right? But for the first couple of years of life, you know what I'm saying? My parents, they spoke broken English was what I would want to say, with really bad accent. Like my mom still has an accent, but she can totally have a conversation. My dad, on the other hand, he didn't really care to learn. He just did it because he knew he had to communicate. And plus he had a construction business. So how else was he going to get contracts if he didn't speak the language? But I was never an emotional support for either one of my parents, which was great. I was never doing the separating of fights. You know what I'm saying? Like any of that. I told y'all if anything, I think that was kind of maybe one of the things. I don't want to say that they failed because I appreciate that I never saw my parents argue. So I told y'all, if the way we knew my parents were arguing was on the way to church, we were listening, like there was no music. It was like, or there was music and no one was talking. And so that's how my sister and I, like, okay, they're mad at each other. We know what's up, So that's the only way we knew. But you didn't hear my dad ever, if my dad was really pissed, he would also go for a drive. So he also did a good job of never showing us. Like, we knew if my dad went for a drive, that's also how we knew. But there was never no name calling. We never heard cuss words in my house, which is, I have no idea why I have the potty mouth. Exactly. I never was, like I said, so there's certain things, and then I feel like that kind of like, I'm not saying that's good or that's healthy, right? But then, you're kind of in a bubble. You kind of think that everyone's parents don't argue or don't do any of that. You don't have any idea. But like I said, I think my parents did a better job than they did as a, like I find more amazing things that they did versus like the bad. Like, I don't think they put any of their burdens on us. I don't know what it was like to be without. We weren't rich, but I've never had lights cut off. I've never not had food to eat. Like, all the important things were always met at our house. So for me, that's being rich, because we're not talking about materialistic stuff here. We're talking about the necessities. And my parents always made sure. And they went above and beyond because, like I said, I had the latest stuff. And if my parents couldn't get it that week, they'd always say, not this week, but maybe next week. And literally it was that week. Like, it was never like, you know what I'm saying? So, and then I 100%, regardless of how I feel about the religion we grew up in, I am 100% grateful that I grew up in the church, and that they showed me who God was, and they told me about God. Because if there's one thing I feel we're growing up without right now, is God. Everything is excluding God. You can't talk about it at school. They don't want to say it in the Pledge of Allegiance. You know what I'm saying? Everything wants God taken out. So I appreciate that they 100%, regardless of how strict they were, regardless of how strict our religion was, I appreciate that they did that. I'm saying that to say this. My pleasure. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Not sure why my phone said that. My Apple Watch.
It's like, what's at Chick-fil-A?
Exactly right.
My pleasure, Marisol.
It's my mom really saying it.
How funny would that be?
She's listening.
So you say that to say this. You have to.
I'm about to tell you. I can't believe that little girl that was.
Oh, the first grader?
Performed oral activities in first grade, and it is not headline news. How is that not headline news? How?
Do you want the real answer or like what most people probably think?
Well, we all know what it is. And that is why it's so funny that you posted that reel yesterday on my podcast thing about how if you haven't woken up yet to what's going on, I'm going to say it again.
The interaction on that reel though.
Yes, because people, it's like, I feel like it made me feel better though. It made me feel like more people are actually maybe waking up, and maybe it's just a few who just still don't see it. And they're still in this, what is it? Trump direct.
TDS.
Yeah.
Trump
like
derangement syndrome.
It's like, Trump has been gone, y'all. And who even cares if he wins again? Like, no one cares right now. We've got like bigger problems. The border is out of control. And don't tell me shit like, it's been happening. Oh, those people annoy me. No, ma'am, sir, not to this magnitude. And if it is, find me what year in history it was at this magnitude. Immigrants are fighting our border patrol folks. You were scared of border patrol people. Like, not scared, but you know what I mean? You knew those were the people protecting the border.
Yeah.
How are we sending money to another country to protect their borders? But our border is just shit.
There's always a special interest somewhere, right? There's always money and power somewhere. That's it.
100%. That's all it is. And that is what it frustrates me. The attack on women, the attack on kids, our border. It's like, people, we have got to start fighting back. That's why I've started to post shit on my social media, and I don't care. And I don't care because I feel like I've stayed silent just because, you know, again, I'm not somebody who likes to ruffle feathers. And really my social media has never been political, which is kind of why I try to use the podcast. Sorry, y'all. I try to use the podcast page for those type of things. You know what I'm saying? But my following is not there. My following is on my personal account. And I just want to bring more awareness. We don't have to agree ever on the same things. Like, that's what life is. We imagine if we all agreed on everything, it'd be a very boring world. You know what I'm saying? I've never lived your life. You've never lived mine. You know, I get that. All those things. I don't know what it's like to be black. I don't know what it's like to be white, but I know what it's like to be me. And I know that it's clear as daylight as to what is happening. It's like it doesn't, you don't need to be any race, any religion, or any, you know what I'm saying, political side. It's just there. It's super there. And if you don't know if it's there, again, I will say it, you are living under a rock. And you have got to wake up, and we have, as citizens, we have got to start fighting back. Like, we have got to start demanding things. We have got to start demanding better school systems. Doesn't matter where you live, in the city or out of the city. It doesn't make a fucking difference. We pay taxes. We need to be demanding better school systems. There should not be a kid having oral sex, being forced to perform oral sex in the first grade. The school hiding it for a whole day until they investigate is also an issue I have. Y'all should have, the minute y'all confiscated that iPad and y'all saw that, y'all should have been calling the parents and have sent something out. What investigation do you need to do? You got a damn video right there. So how much more of an evidence do you want? Like, you want to watch it again? I mean, I don't know. Like, the fact that you even had to watch that is disgusting. As a teacher, as a principal, the fact that you had to, like,
as a parent, they were probably parents, you know, like the administrator and the teacher, like, you know what I mean? Like,
and why didn't we, and what's happening at that kid's home who was asking to do these things?
It's a great question.
So we have a parenting issue right now.
Oh yeah.
We have a huge parenting issue. And, we are raising men in skirts, and we're raising women in pants. And what I mean by that is we are teaching women to be like independent. Fuck a man. I can do this on my own. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody. No one needs nobody. Duh. We all have, you know, the ability to work. We all have a brain. We know how to use it. We all have that. No shit. if you look just a little bit beyond that, there is more to a companion than, oh, I can do this on my own type of thing. Men want to be women now. It's like it's like 1 in 5 you meet. It's like they're either going to they're transitioning. They don't have the balls to do anything. Nothing. It's like, don't say this because it's masculine toxicity.
Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
Guys, she's been sick, okay?
Yes.
Give her a beat.
And today's my last day on antibiotics, though, too. And I was told to not drink as much coffee.
I was gonna say that. How are you drinking coffee?
I know. Sorry.
Not only is she drinking it, but she stopped purposely on the way here. Can I get coffee? I was like,
how much of a rush are you in?
Bro, like your parent, I was gonna be like, literally like, Marisol, should you be drinking coffee right now?
I know. I'm drinking the coffee.
Because it gives me life. It's the little pleasures.
There's just too much going on. And I kind of talked about this on our Discord, and Just here said, that is why I just stay in kind of my little bubble. I go to church. I do what I got to do and just kind of protect my own. And yes, that is exactly what you want to do, but you can't help but to see what is going on around you and notice that things are not getting better. And I don't feel like a lot of us are just kind of sitting back, seeing what happens versus being vocal about it. And I will have Jackie on here in June. She had to reschedule. She was going to be here next Monday because she was outed. And a whole article was written about her on the Houston Chronicle because she makes a big deal about all the things that the school does.
How dare she?
Exactly. And that she is, oh my God, you should see the amount of hate like messages that she gets. But I appreciate somebody like her who is fighting for your kids, my kids, our future kids, like, our grandkids, but what the future for them is going to be, their future, thanks to her. And and she doesn't have to. Her child doesn't even go to public school.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She doesn't even have to. Her child doesn't even attend a public school. But she sees what's happening, and she understands that there's probably a lot of parents who aren't able to make that fight because of whatever circumstance there is. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, whether they be a single parent, they work 2 jobs, immigrant parents, you just never know, right? It really chaps my hive that we are not talking about that situation with this little kid. Because we have a problem. Where are they watching this? Who is touching them? Mental health is real, more real than ever, I feel. And I feel like we dismiss that too, right? I don't understand why all of a sudden there's so many companies that want to advertise using men. I cannot picture what I will look like in a dress, Anthropology, if you put a tall ass man in a dress, and you think because he's got good transitions on his reel, I'm gonna go buy the dress. I don't look like that, and I'm not that height either. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense, and it was the stupidest move you could have done. I don't even wear that brand, so it doesn't even effing matter. But it was, I was just like,
I just found out about this brand. It's a pretty, it's like a luxury premium brand, right?
It's all right. I'm not a fan of it. I don't.
But
care
isn't it
for
positioned as a premium brand? Like it's not cheap.
It's not cheap stuff, no. Yeah. But I just like. I saw that ad, the reel or whatever, and I said, "What are we doing here?"
That's like every day. Like
what are we doing here? Like, no, seriously. My mom always looks at me just the way you do when I say, I just wish God would come and destroy this world already. Let's just start it over. Like, it needs to just get started over. Like, today. Because there's so much madness.
Dude, but do you not think that this, like, if it were to start over again, we'd end up right back here again? Like, this would be the human evolution?
Well, I would hope at that point, we as humans actually started doing our job and fighting back. We pay y'all.
Yeah.
We pay them. They don't pay us.
Right.
We pay them. So we should be fighting back.
But I think
they get free all kind of shit.
No, you're
and
totally
meanwhile,
right.
I'm having to fight insurance companies and figure out which is the best insurance company for me. And this doctor takes it, that doctor doesn't. I took my child to the ER to urgent care, right? Because she had fever, and they said, "Ooh, sorry, we don't take your insurance here." And I told Pete, "Well, imagine that. Heaven forbid I'm in an accident, and they take me to this urgent care. I mean, I know you don't go to an urgent care for it, but you know what I'm saying."
Yeah.
Ooh, y'all, we need to transfer her to another emergency room because we don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, it's just, they make it hard for you to have insurance as a self-employed person. It is just out of control. Like, it's just out of control. We're giving pills to kids for just the smallest thing. If you're ADHD, let's give them a pill. You know what I'm saying? If they're sad, let's give them a depression pill. If everything is solved with a prescription, who only helps who? The pharmaceutical world.
Yeah, the people with the biggest interest.
Exactly. So it's like, as a parent, again, let's go back to the parent. If a teacher is telling you, that's why I admire people like Lucia, people like Roxy, who have children with autism, and they just don't take well, your child has autism, they do their best to figure out things for them. They find the help. They find you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying there's not a lot more parents out there, but I'm just saying we need more parents to be that way. Mm-hmm. Like, if your child has some sort of disability, don't just take whatever the school says. If there's a way for you to thrive, and I'm going to use a deaf person for example. There are parents who, now there's not every deaf person is able to do this, right? Rob, can you turn up my headphones? I don't know if it's because of my allergies,
probably 'cause of your allergies, yeah.
Or I just can't hear myself. Thank you. Sorry, y'all. I'm still trying to get over.
You're trying to be cute while you're doing that. Meanwhile, on the phone, you're hawking up loogies.
I know. I was trying to have a whole conversation with Rob, and I'm like, okay, bye. I'm like, I just can't. I just feel like we are just letting everybody find the solution for us versus you doing your own research versus you kind of looking it up. I think I have 100% concluded that Penny will be homeschooled. I think that's what we're doing. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I've prayed on it, and I've just asked God to help me find a way to navigate through this schedule of mine so that I can be that number one influence in my child's life, because I don't want her to go to school and there be a kid that she saw as Sally, and then Sally next month decides she wants to be Tom, and now in first grade they're going to explain to everybody about Sally wanting to become Tom, and now my child's coming home and asking, why does Sally want to become Tom? And now I'm going to have to answer these questions, right, that a first grader does not need to know, right? And I'm just going to have to say their parents are stupid. That's it. And then she's going to say, what? And that's not the answer you give a child, right? But that would be it's like, those parents who transition their kids at a very young age should be in jail, in my opinion. You are mutilating your own child, and that's called child abuse. And if anybody else were to call somebody CPS on a kid that was getting hit, that parent would go to jail, or CPS would come and take their kid immediately, right? Mm-hmm. So why aren't we doing that with parents who think that transitioning their kid as early as 4 years old is not child abuse? I don't get it. Now, if you're a whole adult and you want to be Susie next year, go for it.
Go for it,
That's
Sam.
you, Sam.
You could be Susie.
Yeah. I mean, do whatever you want because you're a whole adult. Make it make sense. You can't even vote until you're 18. You can't drink alcohol until you're 21, but we can let a child decide if they want to be a boy or a girl. Make it make sense, guys. Make it make sense.
I don't think it's supposed to make sense. You're just supposed to be able to have enough of a word salad at your disposal to just make somebody feel bad or pressure them into, agreeing with you.
I think because I do believe in God and because I do go to church and because I do feel that, we either go to heaven or hell. I do believe in all that, right? I have to just start believing what I believe, and it's okay if somebody has something wrong. It has something to say because we don't have to agree. And if you think that's okay, then my opinion is that there's something wrong with you, because someone said on there, I think the clip that you posted said that a 4-year-old does not know about suicide because that's what they claim, right? But the funny thing is, I don't really know. I should probably. I have actually. It's on my board of to do things. It's not a goal, but it's like research, because I try to put up stuff on there that I want to know more about, and so I have this little board thing where I do it. Well, I haven't done enough research on this, but for you to tell me that a child can commit suicide, right? Because we don't allow them to transition. I'd like to know where your data is coming from, because this is new. This hasn't been happening. Now, I'm not saying transgender people have not been happening for a long time. Yes, that has been, but it was not heard of as much as it's been heard of about now, right?
Totally.
It's like every other post that I see is, the face of the guy. It's like I told Pete, and oh my gosh, I hope nobody that's listening is in the Navy, but you know how the Navy was always known, or at least when I was growing up, I don't know about you, it was like, oh yeah, only the gay guys go there.
There always used to be jokes,
right? There's always jokes, all the jokes are always like, and so when they put the drag queen as the face of the Navy, I said, well, I guess they lived up to the what do you call it, the joke, the stereotype.
My grandfather's rolling in his grave right now. Pochingo.
Your grandfather was in the Navy?
So was my dad.
Well, so is my uncle.
Oh,
and so, I mean, he's not gay, but,
It's so funny. There's always those jokes of the gay sailors and shit. For whatever reason, it's hilarious when you see it.
I think my uncle said was because...
It's a bunch of seamen.
Yes, and then...
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's funny.
And it is. But when I saw that, I said... I told Pete, and he started laughing. I said, no, that's like the joke. It was always that men that are in the Navy are gay. You know what I'm saying? So I said, it's high ironic that they put a transgender drag queen, or she's not transgender. She's a drag queen only, right?
Oh, okay.
She's a drag queen. I don't know that she's transgender.
Oh, I could be wrong.
I think it's a drag queen.
All right. Either way, I mean, yeah.
So you're protecting our country? Do you wear your drag to go fight?
So that was used as a recruitment effort, right? They're using that to promote. Okay.
Yes.
Governor Beast Mode, DeSantis was in the Navy as well.
Now here's my question. If that drag queen went into the hood to recruit young men, how do you think that would go?
It depends if there's cameras around or not.
I would really like to see how that would go. I'd love to see how that would go.
Speaking of the hood, did you see the clip I sent you and Marissa? Somebody asks a question would you rather have what kind of guy would you have? The two black chicks. Did you see that video? Mm-mm. Oh, bro, you gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy. The response.
Okay.
You want to watch it now? Play it for the audience.
All right. Let's see.
Because I know Soul's been busy and she has not been carrying social media, so I'm sure you haven't seen a lot of the things that Marissa and I have been sending back and forth in that group. But you can't miss it. It's two black chicks in the hood and somebody's asking them a question. See if you can find it.
I don't even know how I'm gonna feel about this right now. But let's see.
Right, quick. It's all yellow. You see her in a pink crop top. It's right below the fire that happened here at the. Up in fucking Cyprus at, what was that called? Oh, Trader's Village. It's a video right below that.
Okay, I see Khloe Kardashian.
Right above that. Keep going up a few.
Oh my God.
Bruh, keep going up a few. You'll see her in the pink top.
I'm a transgender and I met my husband in person. Now we are married.
Congratulations. Y'all gay. That's such a funny meme.
Okay, I see it now.
Okay,
here we go.
Play that hoe. Turn the volume up.
On the most.
About what? Let me go. Okay, what's from y'all? Chains, hood niggas. Well, they gotta have something going for that, so there can't be no like crazy. But I like chains, a stand, a wall, a thought. I like a gang member. You gotta be a gang member. You gotta be a gang member. If you're not, I like. You gotta have a gang member. And if you is one, you can't be a. Gotta be a gang member. Gotta be a gang member. I like D-boys with a lot of money. I'm a spoiled ass bitch. So if you can't come how my brother's coming, you gotta step your motherfucking cookies up for they crumbles, bitch.
What turns you on the most?
Okay.
I mean,
Does that go down to parenting?
it has to. It starts with parenting or lack thereof. Obviously, you can't help certain people like that, though. No effort is going to change that person.
I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know.
Guys,
I'm kind of silent right now.
I wish y'all could see this video.
Oh my gosh. I just
Hey,
I don't know.
Does that not put some of it into perspective?
And
that not
you know what's
everybody's
crazy? It's
savable?
funny because, or not funny, but I just watched another Soft White Underbelly episode of a girl that said, "What is the difference between a wife and somebody who has a sugar daddy to pay for your stuff? Isn't that what a wife is? Your husband takes care of you, and he pays for your shit." And I said, "No, that's not what a wife is. That's like." You know what I'm saying? Like,
what was the original question, or what?
does she like being a sugar baby?
Oh, okay,
and so
gotcha.
she's like, do you want love? And she said, not really, because she's like, why? When I can have several sugar daddies who will take care of me financially, and I'm doing what a wife does. And she goes, without all the work that a wife does.
You know what do you think let me ask you this question first, and then I'll give you my opinion. What do you think the internet did? And maybe take a second to think about it. What do you think the internet did as a whole for our current generation, our current species as we know it, from like 95, 2000 to like now we're creeping up on 2024, 2025. Like, what has the internet done to people, in your opinion?
Made them stupider. Just
flat out? Is that going to be the answer?
I mean, no, it's just, it's caused mental illness. It's caused, insecurities. It's caused us to think that what you see on the internet is all real, and there couldn't be anything. No one reports the truth. You're censored. I mean, it's just the algorithm will feed you only what it wants to feed you, because it's not going to let you see anybody who may be speaking the truth, right? So I just think it's done a lot of damage.
You know what's crazy is that I think also what it's done is it's divided us into, let's just say America for starters. The rest of the world's a big place, but in America, it's divided us to understand like who is the more slow-witted NPC, like crazy person like that, and then who is the ambitious, because with or without the internet, you would still be the ambitious person you are now. Except now you get to show people how ambitious you are. You try to help people with your skill set. You get to help, people with whatever you're doing. And then you have people like that. So the internet lets you, and it's like nobody wants to talk about, you're talking about segregating people's, like, well, you're segregating people's abilities. You're segregating their attitudes, their efforts, right? And now you can just kind of sift through like, ooh, don't go that direction. Oh, this group's, maybe, are you going to follow TPUSA? Probably not. Maybe not. It's not for everybody, but those people are trying to be contributions to society, and they're sharing it with the world. Those people want to marry gangbangers and make sure that whatever the fuck she said, I don't even remember. Like, all right, not really my pool of people. I'm going to stay over here. And we're going to keep trying to build better communities, better. And I think eventually, that overshadows everyone else, because people like that don't procreate. People like that don't go far.
I know, but then we're going to go, and I know it's not, and I just kind of feel like, again, it's the people who handle the money, because we don't put money into the communities where it's needed. Because if you let them see that you have a clean neighborhood, if you let them see that there's, there's community involvement, I think your mentality can change, right? Because I feel like there's parents that probably do live in the hood that probably don't want to be there and want to find ways to take their kids out of that, right? But aren't currently able to. But can you imagine if Sylvester Turner actually came in and did some work just here in the community where we are in. Mm-hmm. Just imagine. Why did y'all make a $1 billion park next to the new high rises across the street from the new shopping center that's going to be there? But then you have a park right outside our office here that's next to a crack store. Not, you know what I mean? Like they sell drugs.
You mean where the dozen people are drinking and doing whatever they're doing right now?
They're up at 8. I told Pete one day, I think we were going to the airport. We were leaving for work. And I said, damn. I said, they're up at 6 o'clock working? I said, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. These gangsters do not play. I mean, they're out selling drugs already at 6 in the morning. I was like, who needs a fix at 6 in the morning? Holy smokes. Like, you know what I mean? But that's what I mean. If we just took Spring Valley here in like the Spring Branch area, they have their own police officers, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't we have more police officers in this area? Where it's needed.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's all about how money is being used. It doesn't go the way it's supposed to be. And again, I feel like it boils down to the people. We continue to vote for the same people who don't make change. Because we vote by the race. We vote by the last name. We vote because they know somebody that knows somebody, so they probably just stay in, right? Like Lena Hidalgo.
You know what's crazy too? I was listening to a podcast a while back. I forgot which representative it was, but it was a current sitting House member, and they were I think they were on the conservative or maybe libertarian side, and they were asked like, "Hey, if a young person wants to get into politics, like, you know, what's kind of the ladder to go through?" And somehow they brought up school boards, and the representative was like, "Look, if you want to go far in politics and you want to make big changes, you know, throughout the country, don't go to your local school boards, because you're going to be immediately divided between people, and to ascend even in your city or your state is going to be nearly impossible." So it's crazy that they say like, don't go. Meanwhile, it might be one of the most important seats you could have in your community.
So because Spring Branch just won 3 seats, if I'm not mistaken, of conservative representatives. So I told Pete, I said, oh, looks like Penny might be going to the elementary school I went to. I said, because it's the closest one. The next closest one. Funny, the one that I went to for pre-K is the one that's got the reviews that don't send your child there.
Jeez.
Right? Funny, because I looked it up after I saw that. I looked up the elementary school I went to just to see like what the reviews were. So it's funny because all the reviews were like they like the school, but they wish there's a new principal, and they haven't even given her a chance. It's funny, but because you can tell, someone replied and said, she's only been here 9 months, y'all. I thought that was funny. Whatever parent that was that replied to them, they're like, we wish so-and-so principal was here. She was way better.
Hasn't been a school year.
I know. It said on there, it said she's only been a principal 9 months, which I thought was kind of funny. But I might consider that if we haven't sat down and talked about it, because we're still waiting to get approved, y'all, by the university model homeschooling system. And so she's 2 days on campus, 3 days at home. And so it's called the university model. And school only has 300 students. So it's really hard to get in.
Yeah.
And I was asking the difference. Why isn't it that hard? I mean, it is hard to get into the Second Baptist Church school. Mm-hmm. The difference is that they have so many people wanting to go there. But this model, because it pertains to almost homeschooling, there's not as many people, but they don't just want you to be like, they want you to do this because you actually want to be a part of, oh my God, speaking of homeschooling, I ended up getting Pure Flix, Kirk Cameron's.
He's got a subscription thing?
I tried it out because I wanted to see his homeschooling documentary that he did. And it's so funny how even when I was growing up, if you were homeschooled, you were looked at like you're the weirdo, right? I just remember, I remember being in church, and there was a family that came to preach. The dad was a pastor, and they were homeschooled because the dad kind of traveled pastoring in different places or preaching in different places. And I thought that's so weird. But I remember the little girl was in my Sunday school class, and I remember I said, what grade are you in? And she said she was in 3rd. And I just thought about this when I watched the documentary. And she said, I said, oh, cool. I said, where do you go to school? She goes, oh, no, I'm homeschooled. I said, what does that mean? Because I didn't know what that meant, right? And she told me, and I said, oh, that sounds fun. She goes, I get to do whatever I want to do. She's like, I remember her saying, we learn about states where my dad goes. So wherever the dad was preaching, right, as a guest preacher that day, right, or that whatever, they would make a lesson out of whatever state they were in as part of their like history or geography, whatever, type of thing. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And what sparked that memory was when I was watching the documentary that Kirk Cameron did. It was the kids that are interviewed, Rob. There's one little girl that will be 18 with a master's degree.
Nice.
And her like communication skills, I mean, she was speaking so like, it was like the one thing I appreciate about my mother, and she just like was speaking so like, I don't know, just like a whole grown up, and then these other 2 boys also. And also the thing is that they try to make it hard for you to go into college because you were homeschooled. Because you're so much younger and you're pretty much like kind of ahead of a lot of stuff because you've already like, you've done a lot of things and you've explored. One family sold their house and started doing homeschooling out of an RV for a little bit to teach them about science and, history. And it was like, she really took it to heart. But every parent that they interviewed, the way they got teary-eyed about the connection with their child was like, oh my God, like the communication between child and parent was amazing. There's one parent that at the very beginning did, and there's so many teachers that leave also the school district because they don't agree with what's going on. One of them said that they're looking for work to help parents who homeschool. So one couple at the very beginning, like the first 6 months, they did hire a teacher to come in and help them. And so basically what she did was kind of mirror and, shadow with the teacher just to kind of see how things are done. And for 6 months, she did this until she kind of picked it up. And then she would hire her just 2 days out of the week, which was the 2 days that she had to go into the office to work. You know what I'm saying? The other days she worked from home, kind of like Dawn, right? Mm-hmm. And then she was able to work with them. They were a little bit older. And so they explained like how when you have two children in different grades, how that works and how you're able to sit together. And it was just, the kids were very cool. They have activities for them. They have, there's a community of it. It's so much, it has grown so much now. It's totally different from when I was growing up, when we thought they were weirdos because you were taught at home. You know what I'm saying? But I just thought about that whenever I was watching it. I was like, well, I wonder what I like. Even went on Facebook to see if I could find that little girl because we're in the same. I don't know why I'm calling her a little girl, but I remember I was looking for. I looked at the pastor, but I couldn't find him. I don't know, but I was like, it's so crazy because I wonder. I really, what the curiosity was. I wondered if she did the same for her kids. Like if she ended up homeschooling, you know what I'm saying? Because she's my age, right? So I'm wondering if she had, or maybe she doesn't have children. I'm sure she did. She grew up in the church, so
she was in a Kirk Cameron film.
Yeah,
probably has kids.
So so I assume she probably, I wonder if she homeschooled because I'd love to see like a perspective from somebody that I kind of knew that did it already, and then they pass it on to their kids. But I mean, you've got to really watch it. the insight of it, the way they do things, the community between the other parents. There's a which I'm a part of a mom group that does homeschooling, and that's where I learned about how there's a mom that takes and it's a very small group. It's 8 of them, and she's the one that's responsible for teaching science. And so she takes them. She's got to figure it out. There's another mom, and so that's a community of them. Those moms figured it out.
Yeah, their little pod.
Their little pod, exactly. Yeah. So that they're able to, like, they support one another. Also, on the movie, there is 2 moms that are friends, right, that homeschool their kids. And so, again, same thing. One of them has to go into work certain days out of the week. So does the other mom. The other mom only works part-time. So on the days that that mom has to go to work, this mom is the one that homeschools all the kids. That when this lady's got to go to work, this mom homeschools all the kids. And I said, imagine if we just were all nice like that to each other.
Well, let me ask you this. We got about 10 minutes on the public episode here, and I want to ask you this because you talked about. I like that we're talking about parenting. What are you obsessed with right now as a parent?
Besides the schooling?
Yeah, just as a whole, like the whole parenting thing.
I just want for my kid to have open communication with me. That's probably one of the things that I'm sure you grew up kind of the same way. There wasn't like,
oh yeah, that's why I podcast so much.
Yeah, there's not open. It wasn't like, I mean, I told the story about when I started my period, what my mom said. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that to my child. That's like, I think that was over trying to protect. Like, like you want to keep your child innocent for a very long time. Or maybe not innocent, that's not the right word. Maybe sheltered for such a long time that when something like that happens, which is totally natural and part of life, you didn't even know how to approach it. Your first approach was to say, you sure you didn't poop on yourself? You know what I'm saying?
So, God damn it, it gets me every time.
But I don't want that to be the case with my girls and I. I don't now, like I've always said, I'm not trying to be your best friend, but I do want my kid to know that should there even be in a bad situation, it is mom and dad who we call first. Regardless, they might be mad at us later, but I know that they're the people that I can call. Before you call someone else, I want to be the person that they call. I want them to have that much of an open type of
open line of communication.
Yeah, to where we're just able to communicate. And then, I want them to be responsible and, organized and, because discipline, there needs to be discipline. And I'll be honest, I don't do a very good job of it because I have so much going on. But I was doing laundry yesterday, and so that's one of Penny's new chore is to help me separate clothes. So I teach her about, this is the colored clothes and so forth. And yesterday she said the nicest, like, I was just like, oh my God, I hope she stays like this forever. She said, because you know how the machine makes that when it's done. And so she's like, she heard it and she goes, Mom, it's done. She likes it because she gets to push the button. So she thinks it's fun now. Wait till she gets older. And so she's like, I can do it by myself. And then she goes, you sit down, Mom. I know you're tired. She's like, I got it. I was like, my heart. I hope you're always going to say that because I know you're not.
So let me ask you this too. At the top of the show, you said, we want to do better for our kids than our parents did for us. How much more, in a percentage-wise, do you think you've already done, like as far as your kids' lives, the way they're living their lives now versus the way you lived it when you were 5, 6?
Financially, it's pretty much the same. Like I probably can do a little bit more than my parents did because we didn't go to private school, right? But in that aspect, they were good. But they're in way more activities than I ever was. Like I was in activities that my parents paid for, but I was telling Pete, I said, I had to pay friends. Here's where the story began. I wanted to do ballet folklorico for a long time, right? I lived in the suburbs. No one taught ballet folklorico in the suburbs, okay? So the only place I could go to was this school named MacArthur High School, which is over here, I think, off of 59 or something. And it's an Aldine school district, okay? And that's where I found in La Subasta that they offered it there. And I begged my dad. My dad was, okay, we'll try it. My mom was more as an absolute no, okay? So it was free. All you had to do was show up. You had to provide your own shoes and your own practice clothes. It was at 6:30. My dad's getting off of work. We're talking about traffic. We're going from I-10 in Derry Ashford to all the way over here by Aldi Mail Route. Okay, so it's like super duper far. We tried it for like a week, and my dad's like, I just really can't. And he felt really bad, and I saw it. Well, my mom turned around and thinks it's funny, and I'm sitting in the living room pissed, right? Because I'm just like, damn, why can't anyone just do, you know what I'm saying, something that I wanted? Like, why can't we just do that? And so it's a joke. And so she walked in, and she's like, why is she mad? And my dad said, because we can't take her to the classes. And she goes, dun, 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 dun. Basically, get up and dance right here. You can do it right here. And so that's the joke till this day. So she'll come in and she'll joke about,
emotional
right?
damage.
Exactly.
God.
So that is like my one thing. And that's what I mean. My mom was like, I gotta work, girl. And me, I'm like, what's your schedule, Pete? What's my schedule? Okay, you got to be here. I mean, you've podcasted with him. I'm like, you got to finish at this time because I'm at the store, and you got to take her to this activity, and Sonny's got this activity. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, in the sense of, I want my kids to explore and find what they like and are interested in right now versus being 25 and kind of figuring it out.
Yeah, and I think the reason I asked that too is because, like, what I've found out. I mean, so we did the kids, the 5 love languages for kids. You should do it with Penny. Dawn and I did ours again, but it's literally still the same. And then the kids, we were pretty spot on with what we thought it would be, and it's very much quality time and words of affirmation. And the rest of them, they don't really care about gifts and all that shit. So, and I was asking you that question just because, like, I see how busy you guys are. I see how busy a lot of people are. We don't need to be that busy. A lot of people don't need to be that busy.
And that's why I think homeschooling will force me.
Yeah.
And that's why I've prayed on it. That's why I've asked God to and my heart still goes to homeschooling. That's why I feel like God is telling me, I think this is your answer. You're just fighting it. Because I just think that in my brain, it seems difficult.
Yeah, well, like, as far as the material stuff, like, the kids really don't care about the material stuff. They much rather spend time with mom and dad.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. Even the activities, they want mom and dad there watching them, cheering them on. They don't want you to drop them off, whether it's practice or the actual game, and then just leave. Like, what the fuck's that? They want the quality time.
Right.
So, yeah, I hope that, like, you guys can get there because, we say, even like us, and I'm sure people listening, like, I want to work so that I can, like, leave all my kids a house. I can leave them this lump sum of money so they don't struggle. But, like, even all that stuff, if you arm them with enough tools, they will do it themselves. It's better. Like, I myself have just committed myself to these little bonus babies, and you have a bonus kid too. Everyone's relationships are different, but, like, when they're this age, they're gonna be 9 in September. I'm like, all right, for the next 10 years. And even for the prior 6 now. So for the duration basically that they've been alive, everything's going into just making sure that I'm molding them into a good contribution to society. So now that they'll be 9 in September until they're 18, in 10 years, I'll be 43. Like, then I can continue to go hard and, and then paint on the other shit. But I feel like I can do the same thing. Like, y'all will be in your 50s. Like, you're not going to be that old. Like,
yeah.
I know you want to retire by 50, but that's just not going to happen.
And that's why, because I think in 10 years, Penny will be 15.
Yeah.
And that's those teenage years is where, I'm not saying right now it's not important, right? But I feel like that little part right there, it's like hands-on 100% because...
I think it's the opposite. I think it's more important now.
Really?
And here's why. And I guess we kind of maybe leave it with this, but I was asking my sister-in-law about this. My niece just turned 12. So I started asking her about, like, how are these preteen stages going, this, that, and the other. They've never had a teenager, and they're like, it's starting to get tough, this and that. Like, it's different attitude, different, like, dynamics, hormones are changing. So we started talking, and she was like, one of our friends, they're very into the church, and they've been homeschooled up until now. Like, they're going to start going to a private school.
Your niece and nephew or somebody else?
Both my two nieces,
cool.
yeah. One's 8 and she just turned 12. So one of the other, I think, homeschool moms or friends was like, they had a friend whose daughter was just like the best kid. Like it was always really good, didn't rebel in her teenage years, just a good, like everyone looks at her like, oh, that's what I hope my kid grows up to be. Ask the mom, like, what was the biggest thing that y'all did? Or ask the girl, sorry, what did your parents do? She's like, man, since day one, we always felt like a team. Like we were team building. I knew that no matter what, like my parents had my back. We were a team, my brother and my parents and me. And it was teamwork all the way through high school, elementary, middle school, high school, and even into college, like we were always a team. She's like, I never wanted from anyone else. I needed the attention of everyone else. I just wanted my team. And that's why like
that makes sense.
The early years are so important.
And I'm not saying they're not important, but I'm saying like that teen stage.
You can't go all hands on deck when they turn into teenagers. Like it's like you're putting a finger every year and making sure all hands are on deck.
And that's what we try to do.
Yeah,
like I try, that, like I'm trying my hardest. Like that's what I'm saying. Like open line of communication. I always want her to know. Even whenever we go out of town for work, which I've done less of because
of that,
of that reason. I don't want both parents to be gone. So it's kind of a fun thing. It's like, guess who's going out of town, Penny? And she'll say, Dad. I'm like, yeah. She goes, girl party.
Yeah.
And so, they know that. And so I think I like that because she knows it's like, oh, I get to sleep with my mom in the bed. It's me and my sister. And so
it's literally the best.
Yeah. And so for her, that's so much fun, not saying that she doesn't love her dad, but to her, it's like, ooh, I get to like do, more of like my mom and me. And same thing whenever like I'm going to work or like her going to doing the pop-up with me this weekend.
She was a helper.
She was the one selling, and then she got really upset with me because she was just telling everybody like, what about this? Do you like this one? Do you like this? We also have this, right? And so I was like, Penny, you have to let them shop. Come over here, And so she kind of got her feelings hurt that I did that to her. And she's like, I just want you to call my dad to come pick me up. And I was like, okay, are you sure? She's like, yes. Well, once she kind of got over it, we calmed down and I think that if I would have cried like that with my mom or maybe not so much my dad, but my mom, she would have been like,
she ripped you a new one.
Yes. Yeah. Like you better stop crying right now. Right.
Not effective.
And so for me, instead, I know what I had done. And so does that make sense? So I sat down and I said, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, right? I said, I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings. I said, but we have to and I kind of explained, we have to let customers shop. They have to be able to see themselves. Then when they have questions, you tell them. And so she was mad at me. So she was listening, but she was still mad. And then when I got home, I told her, I said, you did an amazing job today, Penny. I said, you sold earrings, you sold a ring, and you know what I'm saying? I told her like everything that she did, right? How she did such a good job. And she was like, I want to go to your store again. She's like, I like what you do, And so I was
an entrepreneur was born that day.
Exactly. And so she was like so excited. So now I told Pete, I was like, I want to get like a short, I never work just the 3 hours at the Hive. I always do kill my hours in one day. I have 2 brands there. So I have to have 2 full days there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I was telling Pete, I was like, I might do a one week. I want to do like a Monday on the days that we're not open on Monday, like on a day that she doesn't go to school, like a Wednesday. I said, I want to take her, I want to see how she will do.
Like
if she comes from 11 to 2, because it's 11 to 2:30.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, I wonder if if I tell her like we got to pack our lunch because we're going to work, like I get her dressed. I really think that she is going to, like, she likes it because to her it's a game. You know what I'm saying? She thinks it's fun. I let her like check out people. So I let her do the swiping thing. And then she would tell customers how much it was. So she really liked being there. She wanted to know when the next one was. And so it made me feel real good. Like it made me feel like, okay, I'm not saying she's going to be selling clothes or jewelry or accessories or anything, but I hope that she takes her brand and, you know what I'm saying? Like, because, the thing is that as your children grow, your brand also kind of shifts, so it'll be different things. Cause now I'd like for her to be the one to pick out what she would like for us to sell at the store. You know what I'm saying? Like we start that things for little girls, but what about your age? What about 8-year-olds? What do they like? You know what I'm saying? So like, I want her to want to grow her own brand with her sister, and I want them to be a partner together. Sonny, I don't know about Sunny.
We got some time.
She's savage. Like, she'd be like, you finna buy this or not? Penny, on the other hand, is like, would you like to see this? That's how she acts now. I don't know. Maybe you're saying we still have a little bit, but she's savage. So I like that. But that's the kind of relationship I want to have with her.
Yeah.
I want to talk to her. I don't want to have to spank her every time. I'm not saying spanking is not out of the question. It is. But I learned early on that spanking does not work. Okay, I did it. And it doesn't feel good because then I'm like feeling bad. I'm like, dang, how did my mom do it all those years? Like, she didn't even.
Didn't flinch. She must have really enjoyed it.
And so, like, for me, I felt like shit. Like, I kept thinking about it. I apologized to her for spanking her. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
she was thinking of your grandma when she was hitting you.
Right, something. And I was just like, it's those things that you think about yourself. You're like, so I don't want to do that. And like I said, I think my parents, to me, in my opinion, they did more good than I can say that they did bad, right? But there's little things that I think are generational too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not allowed to talk about certain things at home, because it's taboo, right? It's like,
I guess I just wanted to say that for listeners and for you maybe, because I more and more come to this realization that, like, we just need to spend more quality time with the kids, and it's less of the doing to get shit and material stuff as it is quality time.
And that's why on the weekends I don't like to do anything. Like, I told you I know someone who used to always say would send gifts when she was invited to birthday parties or quinceañeras or anything, and I used to always think like, oh my God, it's rude. But she would say, I work Monday through Friday. I only get to come home and have dinner with my kids, and then it's time for bed. Or her husband in this case, because her kids were grown already. But she's like always felt that the only time I can give my kids undivided attention without me having to cook, clean the kitchen, do all these things before they go to bed, right, was on the weekends. So she's like, I'm not giving up my weekends for anybody. It's just like, regardless of how that makes anybody seem like, like, this is my time with them, and it's the only time that I have. And as a parent now, I understand it. That's why, unless it's a birthday party, I know that kids enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? So I'll do that. I'll do the whole, but like, I make sure that Sunday after church, there's something that we're doing together. You know what I'm saying? On Saturday, like, what would you like to do today? Would you like to go to the park? I ask her, where do you think you and Sunny would like? It's always the park. So that's easy for me. I'm like, park and ice cream is, the park's here, ice cream's across the street.
Yeah.
So, it works out. So they love it, and that's their thing. So, and I'm okay with it. Do I want to be out there? No, I don't. It's hot. Like, Pete, we got to separate. It's like, okay, who's pushing who on the swing, and who's going to make sure the other one is, and then Penny likes to play hide and seek. I'm like, Penny, I'm not small. Like, I can't be like up, like, you see a parent up and down that thing. It's kind of like, parent, can you move out the way and stop like hogging up the toys for the kids, type of thing. But I find that very important. I do. And so,
but then they get to like 8 and 9, they don't need you to push them on the swing anymore, and you're just
Penny's
like,
got it now, so we're good now. I just got to give her one good push, and then she's figured it out on her own. And now she doesn't want you to push her because she's a big girl. Yeah. And she knows how to do it. I'm like, okay, it's just like, whatever. But yeah, she's, like I said, I just feel like, I think that's why I want to do the homeschooling. And also Penny has said, because I told her, I said, next year, when I thought she was going to go to school, I said, we're not going to just get to lollygag in the mornings like you get to do now. Because remember, I told you, this is school/daycare. So they'd like for you to be there no later than 9, because 9 is when they start like the actual school time. But between 6 a.m., because parents are probably dropping off kids at 8:30 to go to school. To go to work. That's why they make it. But so she, like, we know. And so we don't like, we're kind of like, okay, breakfast. Now let me do your hair. We leave the house about 8:30. It only takes 7 minutes to get there. So you see what I'm saying? And I told her, I explained to her that next year she's going to real school. I said, and you're going to have to get up early. And so I'm explaining to her. And so she just said, she goes, well, why can't you just teach me the way you do at night? Because at night, that's when we read and we play teachers. I write on the chalkboard, and she likes it because she knows she'll get iPad time.
See, we're all driven by incentives. Like that's her incentive to do the work is get
So
the iPad.
she's like, I get to have the iPad. And so she gets the iPad while I put Sunny to sleep. And then when she falls asleep, she knows that it's time for bed. But if she feels like I'm taking too long, check this out. And this is why it's important for parents. And we're going to end it with this structure. And this is why I said like structure and discipline is so important. If she feels like she's been on the iPad too long, she'll come down from her bunk and she'll say, is it time for me to go to bed yet? I said, yeah, you can go to bed now. I was like, I'm sorry. Is your sister still here? Like, I'm struggling with her, you know? And so she's like, okay. And she just goes, it's almost like she knows like, whoa, my mom's let me be on the iPad a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Like, I think I should go check in. But that comes, I feel, from like explaining why it's time to get off the iPad. I don't just say, because I said so.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
like,
of course. Like we heard growing up.
because I said so. Because I'm your mom and I said so.
I don't think I've almost said it, but I haven't yet to say those words.
I've said it one time to Penny. In the 4 years, I've said it one time because she just said something. I said, girl, because I'm your mom and I said so. And she goes, okay, mom. That's all she said. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll see y'all next week.